In 1847, a 10-year-old boy sits across the board from his own father, a justice of the Louisiana Supreme Court. The boy is Paul Morphy. He meets his father's defense with the King's Gambit, boldly sacrificing a pawn for speed and attack. This fiery opening has tempted champions across the centuries. In 1960, at the Mar del Plata tournament, Boris Spassky wielded it to win a celebrated game against a young Bobby Fischer. That defeat stung so badly that Fischer fired back with an article titled "A Bust to the King's Gambit," and the Gambit still draws elite players today. At Norway Chess 2021, Ian Nepomniachtchi used it to beat Alireza Firouzja in a round 2 Armageddon game. Magnus Carlsen has won with it at the Super Grandmaster level, defeating Wang Yue at the King's Tournament in Medias 2010, and unleashing it in Online Blitz for its sheer unpredictability. Here, the young Morphy shows that same fearless instinct, rapid development, relentless pressure, and smooth flowing counterplay. The King's Gambit, one of the oldest documented openings, is a chess opening where white offers a pawn to divert the black e-pawn and gain greater control of the central squares. If black accepts the gambit, white may play d4, and bishop takes f4, regaining the gambit pawn with central domination. Or white can direct their forces against the weak square f7 with moves such as knight f3, bishop c4, castling, and g3. A downside to the King's Gambit is that it weakens white's own king position, exposing it to the latent threat of queen h4, check, or bishop e7 to h4, check, which may force white to give up the right to castle. Hikaru Nakamura has played the King's Gambit primarily in rapid and blitz formats, often as a surprise weapon. Nakamura beat Dmitry Andreikin in the 2010 World Blitz Championship using the Gambit, and he won against Michael Adams at the 2011 London Chess Classic, another notable classical use of the opening. While the King's Gambit is rare in high-level classical chess today, the games of Nakamura and Carlsen show its viability in faster time controls. This is the King's Gambit, one of the oldest and most romantic openings in chess. White hands over the f-pawn to blast open the f-file and seize the center, inviting a wild, attacking fight. In this game, Paul plays the Bishops Gambit variation, bishop c4. White allows queen h4, check, and king f1, losing the right to castle. But this loses time for black, a key to Paul's plan of attack, because after the inevitable knight f3, white will develop rapidly. White also has the option of delaying knight f3 and can instead play g3. After this, the game becomes quite sharp, with white having the option of queen f3 attacking f7 or king g2, threatening h takes g3. If black has played g5, this is the McDonald attack. This idea is advocated, among others, by Grandmaster Simon Williams. The author John Shaw has even described the reply knight c6 as a refutation of the Bishop's Gambit. Despite these counterattacking ideas, queen h4 check is still popular and has made a resurgence in the 21st century. With the bishop on c5, black springs a dangerous trap. The queen on h4 and the bishop on c5 both strike at the f2 square, and black threatens queen moves to f2, checkmate, because the white king cannot safely recapture. This is exactly why the natural developing move, knight f3, fails here. It would simply allow queen moves to f2 mate, so white must meet the threat another way. Paul can block the diagonal with d4, defend f2 with knight h3, or hit the black queen with g3 to gain time. Paul answers with d4, a clever blocking move. The pawn steps into the bishop's diagonal, snuffing out the threat of queen to f2, and at the same time it attacks the bishop on c5, gaining a tempo. The bishop must move, perhaps to b6 as in the game, or to d6, or back to b4. From positions like this, many variations of the King's Gambit have been explored over the centuries, including the Kozio, the Hanstein Gambit, the Bledo, the Bogoljubov, also called the Yenish, and the famous Fischer defense. For all of its romantic fire, the King's Gambit is difficult to play, and it carries real deficiencies. d6. A great move. A bold passed pawn is driven deep into the enemy camp. It cramps black's pieces and freezes his queenside. His queen is shoved back home and his whole position grows passive. Knight g5. A great move. The knight leaps toward f7, the eternal weak point, eyeing both e6 and f7 at once. Every defensive try only draws Morphy's attackers closer to the king. Watch the e-file. Paul swings his rook to e1, and with the file wide open, it strikes the black bishop on e6. But the danger runs deeper. Directly behind the bishop sits the black queen on e8, so the rook x-rays the queen straight through it. At the very same moment, the knight on g5 also attacks the bishop on e6, and white's bishop on c4 joins the assault, raking through the open d5 square to strike e6 as well. The bishop is attacked 3 times, and it cannot move without exposing its own queen. The stage is set for a breakthrough. Knight takes e6, the brilliant breakthrough. Morphy smashes into e6 and rips open the shelter in front of black's king. Recapturing with the f-pawn bursts open the e-file, and every reply simply loses as white's pieces flood in. Rook takes e6. The hammer falls. The rook wins the pawn and skewers black's shattered position. Bishop, knight, and queen all converge on the black king. Facing unstoppable threats, Alonso resigns. 1-0.